Hello, this is English Language Arts Grade 7, Standard 5, analyzing how a drama or poem's form or structure contributes to its meaning. We're going to start with E. E. Cummings and his poetry. My favorite and one of the most popular poems of his with structure is L.A. If you haven't read it before, you might be looking really confusing about what that even is saying, what it means. If you take apart the parentheses a little bit here, it says loneliness, and inside of loneliness is a leaf falls. Four words, but so much meaning inside of those 4 words that I don't know if you can get anywhere else. If it just said loneliness period, a leaf falls period, it's pretty empty. It doesn't have a lot of meaning carried with it, but a leaf falls inside of loneliness is a really powerful little poem. One question that's asked quite often is this even a poem? And absolutely yes, it has form, it has structure, it has a lot of meaning, and it is unique, but it carries all the aspects of the poem. And the question, how does form contribute to the meaning? Like we discussed, if it just said loneliness period, a leaf falls period, would it carry the same meaning? Absolutely not. The form and the parentheses and how it's broken apart, that's what carries all this meaning. Do you think you could create the feeling this poem creates with other words? How could you, in what other way could you create these feelings in words, basically? Can you? I don't think so. I don't think I can. I'm not as good of a poet, I guess, because I couldn't do that. We'll move on here. We're going to skip ingest and just go right to Maggie and Millie. Maggie and Millie and Molly and May went down to the beach to play one day, and Maggie discovered a shell that sang so sweetly she couldn't remember her troubles, and Millie befriended a stranded star whose rays 5 languid fingers were, and Molly was chased by a horrible thing which raced sideways while blowing bubbles, and May came home with a smooth round stone as small as the world and large as alone. For whatever we lose, like a you or a me, it's always ourselves we find in the sea. First question, is there rhyme? Yes, some of the time. Let's see, we see a lot of rhyme with May and Day here on the first 2 sentences, and we have stone alone, me and sea. But as you can see, there's not the rest of the time. It's very inconsistent, which is very typical for Cummings, is being not consistent through the whole poem, but just kind of sprinkling aspects of forms and structures and rhymes. Is this a free verse poem, and does it use meter? Is this a free verse poem or does it use meter? And the answer to that question is both. For example, the first section here, it's da-da-dum, da-da-dum. Maggie and Millie and Molly and May went down to the beach to play one day. And that's consistent in a lot of these, but it does change. For example, we see that here, Maggie and Millie and Molly and May, but then going down a little bit, it totally changes. And Molly was chased by a horrible thing which raced sideways while blowing bubbles. Definitely a different rhythm, different meter, but it's consistent as it doesn't, it's not out of nowhere, because that's where the subject changes a little bit. It kind of goes a little darker, goes a little more bleak for Molly. What kind of voice is used? And a lot of argument says that it's an adult, a lot of others say it's a child. I argue that it's an adult being very childlike, as it's a very childlike poem with the sing-song nursery rhyme kind of a tone, but he uses words like languid or reflective sentences like this in the very end. So I agree that it's an adult, but a childlike adult. For the sake of time, we are going to wrap up now, but thank you very much.